Today, we are going to discuss the regional cinema in India. By the 1950s, the national Hindi film industry had spread over all the major states to wide audiences from every walk of life. So what I mean is popular Hindi cinema based in Bombay film industry became extremely popular. Even though its superfluous formulae and style had become hugely popular to the masses, the educated middle class was eventually becoming weary of the garishness of the themes and events portrayed in most Hindi films of the time. With an added nudge from the best of the world cinema being shown in theatres in Calcutta, Pune and Chennai, a more serious group of filmmakers and an artistically appreciative audience were soon to emerge, yearning for films that would capture the imaginations. That is, in simple words, films that would tell better stories. Indian cinema had long acknowledged only two kinds of films, that is popular cinema and art cinema. Now, there is another category called popular regional cinema. Now, what is the difference between popular regional cinema and popular Hindi cinema? The difference is considerable. That is, the regional cinema differs from its Hindi counterpart as it is less cosmopolitan in nature, and we may say that is rather local in construct. And this is perhaps true of films by even the most celebrated filmmakers. Let's take the example of Satyajit Ray, admittedly one of the most important Indian filmmakers. Now, what do we call Ray's film? Should they be called Indian films, or they can be simply referred as Bengali films? The Hindi commercial film also does not represent a single homogeneous category, because on one hand there is low-budget action films, and simultaneously the Hindi film industry also brings out different kind of Hindi films, that is films made for the upmarket city multiplexes. Now, if the mainstream Hindi film plays down the regional divide, there is evidence that the regional film sometimes takes it upon itself, that is the task, to address the local identities and often concentrate on the regional difference. Since some of the successful regional Hindi films are again remade in Hindi, there is this likelihood that regional cinema caters to a local identity and also addresses national concern. Now, I'm sure you students must be very confused by it now, because what I'm talking about is the different categories of films which vis-a-vis make the complete construct of Indian cinema. Now, this is what I want to say. The existence of the mainstream Hindi cinema alongside so many regional commercial cinema, and then again the existence of Hindi art film alongside so many regional cinema and commercial popular Hindi cinema makes it a very, very difficult task of defining Indian cinema. Until the early 1960s, Indian popular cinema had played a very important role in taking the path of the nation. That is, the cinema of 1950s engages with the issue of progress and modernity, for which it often uses the emblem of the city. That is, the mood informing the films of this era is often suffused with the secular nationalism of the Nehruvian era. The social concerns of these films is also genuine, and the cinema apparently believed it could make a difference to the nation. However, things changed. Things changed after the Chinese War in 1963, which sort of dampened this nationalist enthusiasm and considerably. And then onwards, we started having films, that is 1960 onwards, films which were withdrawing from the city and abruptly embarking to the hill stations and other foreign locations. Now, this can be called a sort of escapism. That is, with films during 1960s, that it's films like Love in Tokyo, Tisri Manzil, Jewel Thief. These films sort of tries to attempts to dazzle us with the cheap gadgetry. The sleazy club dances of the 1950s, a metaphor for sort of a bad modernity, develop into gaudy cabaret in the 1960s. Popular cinema no longer attended to the serious task that it had taken upon itself post-independence. And hence we see a sort of emergence of a separate category of art cinema initiated in late 1960s, which we have earlier discussed as Indian New Wave. Now, the Film Finance Corporation had been set up in 1960 on recommendation of S.K. Patil Film Enquiry Commission Report of 1951. By the end of 1960s, Indira Gandhi was not only firmly entrenched but also began her early radical initiative. The Film Finance Corporation initiated what I just referred as New Indian Cinema and produced films like Mrinal Sen's Bhuvan Shom and Manikal's Uski Roti, both of which were released in 1969. Many of the films made in these early years are rarely seen today, although at that time, however, they seemed to bring hope and excitement to Indian cinema. Because as I told earlier, that middle class audience was kind of growing wary of Indian commercial popular Hindi cinema. This is also the time where a third category of cinema started emerging, the category which may be referred as middle cinema, which followed successfully thereafter, that is in the early 1970s, with filmmakers like Basu Chatterjee, Hrishikesh Mukherjee, Gulzar and Basu Bhattacharya. These filmmakers sort of started breaking away from what we have referred as, or in earlier episodes we have referred as, the formula-laden film, that is formula-laden Hindi commercial cinema. We may also say that some of the early films of Shyam Benegal, despite their being so much political, because we may say they are political films, but yet they can be categorized as middle cinema. These films sort of demonstrated how the educated class had become much more radicalized in the 1970s. Bengal had cemented its reputation in breaking away from the escapist, studio-driven escapist clutter and proved to be successful exemplars for this mostly centrally aided, that is, here I'm talking about the Film Finance Corporation, sort of alternative production module. The regional arts cinema of India began quite differently from each other and through different impetus. So, for example, Kannada art cinema, took inspiration from the literary movement. And many of its films, that is, many of its early films, were a faithful adaptation of important literary text. Bengali art cinema, on the other hand, was left-wing and political, with Mrinal Sen's films like Interview and Calcutta 71. Hrithik Ghatak, another great filmmaker. Now, it is difficult to figure out which slot to put Hrithik Ghatak in. While he did not take the path opened up by the realism of Satyajit Ray, neither are his films true to the conventions of popular cinema, despite their containing songs. Malayalam cinema remained unpredictable, with two very original talents, Adur Gopal Krishnan and G. Arvindan. along with its most notable left-wing filmmaker John Abraham, making more idiosyncratic political films than those coming from Bengal. Malayalam cinema, however, remains an exception, even in the mainstream, and radical departures were to be expected from art cinema as well. We shall now look into some of the major regional cinema at length. The Bengali language cinematic tradition of West Bengal has had reputable filmmakers like Satyajit Ray, Ritwik Ghatak, and Mrinal Sen. In 1993, the Bengali industry's net output was assessed to the tune of 57 films. In Bengal, a region rich in culture and intellectual activity, the first Bengali feature film in 1917 was a remake of Phalke's Raja Harishchandra, titled Satyavati Raja Harishchandra. It was directed by Rustamji Dotiwala. Within a decade, the first seed of the industry was sown by the reputed filmmaker Hiralal Sen, considered a stalwart of the Victorian-era cinema, when he set up the Royal Bioscope Company, producing scenes from the stage production of the popular shows at Star Theatre, Minerva Theatre, and Classic Theatre. In recent times, however, Bengali cinema has deflated in stature and vigour. Its last great author, Rituparna Ghosh, has made a tremendous impact with several of his films often successfully bringing the gap between art house and commercial cinema. Films like Chokher Bali, Raincoat, Doshor have managed to please the educated middle-class Bengali audience and has also gained critical fame abroad. With his untimely demise in 2013, more and more films are being made that strives to achieve the perfect marriage of art and commerce. But many have failed. It remains to be seen what future holds for Bengali cinema. Tamil cinema is one of the largest film industries in India, based in Kodambakam. Tamil films have good portrayal of Tamil culture, which has subdued sexual expression and moderate glamour, unlike its northern counterpart. The first Tamil feature film, Keechaka Vatham, was made during 1916-17. Kalidas was the first talkie in Tamil. In Tamil films, the stories were standardized as series of songs. In keeping with the tradition, the talkies carried a number of songs and placed rather less emphasis on the dialogues. Tamil cinema has been a force in the local politics of Tamil Nadu state, with some of the industry personalities like M.G. Ramachandran, M. Karunanidhi, and J. Jayalalitha having held political offices. With the establishment of the Madras Film Institute, the quality of Tamil cinema improved during the 1980s. And it further gained international exposure with works of filmmakers like Mani Ratnam, Ilayaraja, and A.R. Rahman. Tamil stars such as Kamal Hassan have been successfully nationally, while others like Rajnikant have had global fan followings. Recently, Tamil hits include Shaptapadi, Subhalekha, and Sagar Sangamam. Telugu Cinema. The Telugu language film industry of Andhra Pradesh is one of the largest in India in terms of the number of films produced every year. The state of Andhra Pradesh also has the highest number of cinema halls in India. The first Telugu talkie was H.M. Reddy's Bhakt Prahlad 1932. Reddy's Grihalakshmi was a path-breaking film. Also, films like Bhakta Potana, Yogi Vemana, Maleshwari may well be regarded as early Telugu classics. The industry has earned several Guinness records, including awards for the most film directed by male and female directors, the most film produced by a person, and for having the largest film studio in the world. In addition, actor Brahmanandam recently got a Guinness records for acting in the highest number of films, and the number is actually as high as 750 in a single language. He was awarded the prestigious Padma Shri for his contribution to cinema. Sham Benegal's Anu Graham, Mrinal Sen's Oka Kuri Kotha, and Gautam Ghosh Ma Bhumi helped Telugu cinema come out of a mythological curvature and focus on reality. In 2006, the Telugu film industry produced the largest number of films in India, with about 245 films produced that year. The film industry, that is Telugu film industry, also consists of the famous film studio, that is Ramoji Film City, situated on the outskirts of Hyderabad. Malayalam Cinema. The Malayalam films find audiences in India's Kerala state, which has the highest literacy rate and an established tradition of theatre. Malayalam film industry has a tradition in artistic cinema, exemplified by the work of the famous director Adur Gopal Krishnan and G. Arvindan, as well as a tradition in commercial cinema with stars such as Mohanlal and Mammootty acting in films which drew masses of fans. After several years of quality deterioration, Malayalam films saw the sign of a sort of massive resurgence in the year 2010, with the release of several experimental films. Now, these films are also known as new generation films, mostly from new directors. Now, the new generation films, that is also referred as the new wave, not the same new wave as the Indian new wave, but a sort of new wave Malayali films, that is 2010 to present, is a Malayalam film movement developed in the early 2010. That is, it's a very recent film movement, which is characterized by fresh and unusual themes and new narrative techniques. Films of the new wave differs from the conventional themes of the past 2 decades, that is 1990s and 2000, and introduce several new trends to the Malayalam industry. While the new generation formats and style are deeply influenced by global and Indian trends, their thematics are firmly rooted in Malayali life and mindscape. The new generation films also helped the Malayalam film industry regain its past glory. Salim Ahmed's Adaminte Makan Abu was chosen as India's official entry to the Academy Awards to be considered for the nomination in the Best Foreign Film category for the year 2011. Drishyam 2013, that is not the Hindi remake but the original Drishyam, became the first Malayalam film to cross the 50 crore mark at the box office. Marathi Cinema. Some of the earliest Indian filmmakers, and yes, I'm talking about Dada Saheb Phalke, belonged to the state of Maharashtra. The first two Indian feature films, that is Pundalik and Raja Harishchandra, were unmistakably Maharashtrian in form and substance. Also remember the famous film which we have discussed in the earlier episodes, that is Sant Tukaram, directed by Damle Fathelal in 1937. The film I have discussed in my previous episodes also represented Indian cinema at the Venice Film Festival. Marathi Cinema received critical acclaim in 2004 with the film Swash, winning the Golden Lotus National Award.
आपल्याला दोन्ही डोळ्यांचं ऑपरेशन करायला लागलं.
पण दिसेल
नाही. हे बघा, आपल्याला परशुराम सगळ्यात महत्वाचा आहे की नाही? हो की नाही?
म्हणजे
मी सांगतो तुम्हाला समजवण्यावर. हे आपले डोळे, बाहेर बुबुळ असतात की काय, त्याच्या मागे हा रेटायना असतो, ज्याच्यामुळे आपल्याला दिसतं. या नर्व्स असतात मागे.
The second Marathi film to win the President's Medal after the film Shyamchi Ai. The Maharashtrian state government has begun to issue grant to the Marathi film industry. After the success of the film Swas, we are seeing that a lot of national players like Srinagar Films and Zee Telefilms are once again showing interest in Marathi cinema. The growing popularity of the Marathi television, notably Zee Marathi and ETV Marathi, also has helped to popularize the older Marathi cinema. Zee Talkies is a 24-hour channel dedicated to Marathi movies. In 2009, Marathi film Harish Chandrachi Factory, with a budget of mere ₹6 crore, depicted the struggle of Dada Saheb Phalke in making his film, that is his feature film, Raja Harishchandra in 1913. Directed by theatre veteran Paresh Mokashi, was selected as India's official entry to Academy Awards in the Best Foreign Language Film category, making it the second Marathi film after Swas to receive the honour. 2009 also saw blockbuster musical movies Natarang, which both commercially and critically was applauded and had served as a path-breaking movie for Marathi cinema. Assamese Cinema. After making a dismal start with Jyoti Prasad Agarwal's Joymati in 1935, the state-run Assam Film Finance and Development Corporation had played a vital role in giving a new lease of life to the ailing Assamese films. Filmmakers like Bhupen Hazarika produced some memorable films in the 60s. The state has just one government-owned studio, with the post-production being done in Calcutta, Bombay and Chennai. Bhojpuri film's history began in 1962 with the film Ganga Maiya Tohe Piyari Chadhaibo, which was directed by Kundan Kumar. It was an instant hit. Films such as Bidesiya and Ganga Maiya Tohe Piyari Chadhaibo were well received by the cinegoers. They did a handsome business as well. Another hit film, Balam Pardesiya, featuring Rakesh Pandey and Padma Khanna, was released in 78 and 79. It was directed by Nazir Hussain. Mithun Chakraborty's Bhojpuri debut, Bhole Shankar, in 2008, is considered as the biggest Bhojpuri hit ever. The extremely rapid success of these films has lent dramatic effect on the increased in Bhojpuri films' visibility, and of late the industry has also supported award shows as well as film magazines based on Bhojpuri films. Bhojpuri films have got distinguished in the whole world. The Bihar government has taken a decision to start a film industry in Rajgir. Bhojpuri cinema is also watched in many parts of the world where Indian diaspora has settled. India is a land of diversity. There lies a huge blend of diverse cultures, regions, and language. This diversity has given rise to various regional cinema along with the very popular, that is, Hindi commercial cinema, vis-a-vis referred as Bollywood. Regional Indian films are the key to Indian cinema. India is unique in its kaleidoscope of diverse languages and culture. The diverse regional cinema in India strives to maintain their distinctive identities and provide an important dimension of the cultural wealth